welcome to the 15-minute masterclass for Women on Fire. We are always so excited to interview phenomenal women like yourself who have gone through the ranks and have succeeded in professionally and personally, and we love hearing your advice. So thank you so much for your time, and welcome.
Thanks very much, Petra. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, let's get cracking. So first question, when you started your career, did you always have your sights on the executive roles?
Well, Petra, I actually started my career as a high school teacher. So when I left school, I was pretty young. You know, I'm a January baby. So when I was applying for university and things like that, all I wanted to do was teaching. And so I moved into teaching. I did teaching for 8 years, which included, that's high school teaching, country, Queensland, etc. I loved it, but I just realised it wasn't satisfying enough for me. It wasn't challenging enough. It had too much routine. It had too much bureaucracy. I wanted to earn more money. I was constantly broke, you know, spending all of my money. I had a pretty good social life. I partied pretty hard during my 20s when I was a teacher, as you do. So I started to realise by my, you know, even 4 years in, I resigned 4 years in and headed off overseas and then came back and moved into advertising. I was lucky enough to get a break. I didn't like that. I started to realise I was missing what teaching gave me. So I went back to teaching. But another 4 years later, and I was ready to leave. I was 29 by this stage, and I thought if I do not move on from teaching at this stage in my life, it's going to be too hard. So I gave it all up once again. I went overseas for another 6 or 7 months, backpacked around, and came back and took a shorthand typing course, which you did in those days, and thought, I don't care what I do. If I have to be a PA to someone, I'll just do what I need to do to get into the business world. So I didn't end up becoming a PA. I was given an opportunity, and that's one of the key messages I think I have for all young women out there. Look for the opportunities because they are there, and when they come up, just take them, no matter what they create. So I was given an opportunity to move into an organisation called Perpetual Trustees, which was a really stodgy old trustee company that had a financial arm as well. That was a huge, huge change for me because I moved from the bureaucracy of the education department into a boys-only club that was a trustee company. So I went through 2 years of major cultural change. You know, I had to manage payroll. I took a personnel officer's role. I learned to manage payroll. I learned to do admin. I learned to deal with the culture and the men. And, you know, it was tough, but I loved it because it was challenging. My mother also died during this time, which was a huge impact on me because I was only 29 when my mother died. But this particular step led to another opportunity, and that was to take a big step up in Sydney, move from Brisbane to Sydney and take a role as a HR manager. Now, that was offered to me by my boss, the Perpetual Trustees who had left. So there's a little bit of a trend in my career also that people I work for then ask me to come and work for them in new roles. And I guess that comes because I've shown that I have lots of potential. I'm good at what I do and I work really hard.
How important did you find that time when you took out and travelled and did a bit of soul searching? Did that really help you, and how important was that to your success?
That was very important to me. I spent a year away in 85. I spent about 5-6 months away in 89. They were times that really challenged me personally. I grew really, you know, when you head off overseas on your own with a backpack, you don't know what you're doing. You've sold your car to get the money. And you basically just go over there and experience life. You grow substantially. And it gives you time to think about, when I go back, what do I want to be doing? So I did take those times as not just opportunities to see the world, but I grew really, really big time. There were times when I was really lonely, I was homesick, I didn't know what was happening next, I was running out of money, but you just make it work. And I think they formed the basis of, I guess, a lot of my strength when it came to my career.
Yeah, so wonderful, and it just shows you how important the environment is to your success, because the environment does determine your success, and it is giving yourself that opportunity to find yourself and discover who you are and what you want, and growing, like creating those growing opportunities. That's phenomenal. So, what are the pitfalls? What were the pitfalls of climbing the ladder? And the career ladder, and how would you advise people to overcome them or avoid them?
The biggest pitfalls for me was my health, really, because I had a wonderful career, lots of opportunity for travel, lots of opportunity to work really hard, but I also ran myself into the ground a couple of times. So I ended up having to take time off and re-energize and recover. And I did that, the first time I did that after I left Sydney. So my career in Sydney was for 10 years. And I finished my job down there with I'd been to New York, I'd worked for News Corp in New York, I'd had 10 years of traveling, working hard, amazing jobs for News Limited. And I'd finished up with Sydney Water in a very, very difficult role where we were bringing an organisation back in, and it was very acrimonious, and I was the HR director. I was absolutely exhausted. So I ended up making a decision to leave Sydney, go back home to Brisbane and spend more time with my family. But I also had to have about 6 months off to rebuild my body and my health.
So what made you work so tirelessly and disregard your health? Because I would imagine that the signs would have been there to say your body's telling you a little bit, it's stress is not good and I need a bit of a break. What made you ignore the signs and focus purely on your job and not take your health seriously?
I was very driven by what I wanted to achieve. Success is really, really important to me. So, and I never like to, in business, I would never let someone down. So I took the opportunities, I kept driving myself. There were things that just had to be done. And I did them. And so I'm a Capricorn. If you look at star signs, success is really important. I wasn't driven by the money, or it was more about the success and my reputation and making a difference in what I was doing.
So with young women of today, how could you advise them? Because I believe that as a person, being more holistic and looking after your health and looking after all aspects of your life makes you better at success. And of course, as we just spoke, there's always that balance, but there's never a real balance, is there? Because something has to give. What would you advise the young women of today how to climb up the ladder and be as successful as you were, yet look after their health as well and the other aspects of their life?
I think you just need to surround yourself, find really good people to help you with that process. So invest in yourself. Invest in whether it's exercise, whether it's a naturopath, whether it's a health coach. I did look. It wasn't that I wasn't looking, but I did have major health issues. I was suffering from endometriosis for most of my life. So my health was pretty much always going to be an issue. It had been since I was young. So here was I pushing and pushing and pushing and loving what I was doing, but trying to manage my health as well. So my biggest, it wasn't that I wasn't trying to, I just really could not pull it all together. But my advice to women is, really read the signs, go out, get the experts, exercise, find an exercise that's right for you, massage, meditation. I honestly, if I could go back now, I would be meditating every single day.
Amazing. Like, I love that, because I really think that's important, because the media does promote success and those successful people, and you always see the good side of it and not the pitfalls of it. And I think that it goes hand in hand, and it's learning to manage those, which is phenomenal. And so you mentioned the other day when I saw you that you wished that you had looked after your finances a little bit better. So What makes you say that, and how do you think if you could go back and redo it, how would you look after your finances a little bit better?
I'd be a bit more interested in it from a start. I actually had no interest in it whatsoever. So money to me was around having a good time. When I lived in Sydney for 10 years, earned really good money, and I spent it. You know, I bought fantastic clothes. I shopped in Oxford Street. I had all the latest suits, you know. I wish I had invested in property sooner. You know, I could have, for example, when I shifted to Sydney, I rented a one-bedroom apartment for the whole 10 years I was down there, paying $400 a week. If I'd invested and bought a property when I first went down, by the time I left, I would have had a really good, you know, portfolio of property, and I wouldn't have put all that money into rent. My problem was I saw property and investments as tying me down. I didn't see them as something that could support me. So I never got good advice around that. I never went to see a financial advisor. I basically took my money. I invested finally when I was 38. I bought an investment property on the Gold Coast, but I was 38 years of age. And I didn't buy my first home until I was 43. And I just think back now, I could have done everything I did and still invested in property and still had some, put my money into investments and being much smarter around it.
What advice, you've already mentioned opportunity and grab opportunity, but if I were a young woman, say in my late 20s, and I really wanted to go for the top roles and I wanted to get there and had my ambition and my drive, how would I do that? What advice can you give me to get there?
I think the key thing is just believe in yourself. I never experienced glass ceilings. You know, I worked in male-dominated organisations, Sydney Water, Queensland Rail, News Limited, not so much. But I always believed so much in myself and took opportunities as they came up that I just kept climbing the ladder. I pretty much changed jobs every 2 to 3 years. And if I wasn't promoted internally, I found an opportunity externally and moved to another organisation. So I took control of my career, and it was very much about, but mainly, I did that mainly because I was looking for more challenge. I was wanting to learn something new, climb the ladder, and I wasn't looking to get necessarily to the top. I was more looking to be challenged and be successful. It just happened that for me, it led to good executive roles. But I certainly think that it's about you having faith in yourself. I don't take a lot of the nonsense that goes on in corporations terribly seriously. You know, all different organisations have different cultures and nonsense that goes on. And you can let it affect you, or you could just simply say, you know what, I know I'm good at what I do and I'm just going to get on with this and look for opportunities. There have been times when I've chosen to leave organisations because I think, you know, right, what, this is not right for me. It took me till now to really learn that lesson and say, this is not the right culture for me. If I stay here, I'm going to be unhappy and I'm going to be sick. I'm going to make myself sick. So I walked away from a big job, best decision I could have made. So listen to your gut, listen to the universe, and make sure that you're doing things that are right for you.
Yeah, that's such wonderful sound advice. And really what you're saying there, I hear, is the environment. You know, make sure that the environment caters to your ambitions and listen to yourself, because we always know what's right for us. We always know what's right for us. We just have to listen. And once we take that step in the right direction, the universe just clears that path for us, or whatever the belief system is that people have. It just clears their path for us, and it just feels so phenomenal. That is sound advice. Rocking it. Love it. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, we will put all your details online. I know you said you started your own business, and so we'll put all those details on there so people can see that and get in contact with you if they want to.
Great. Thanks so much, Petra. It's been good talking to you.